In this video, you're going to learn how to simplify radicals, and we're going to go through 7 examples together. We're going to talk about how to simplify square roots as well as cube roots, and I'm going to show you my favorite technique, and I think you'll like this technique. So let's dive into the video. When we're talking about simplifying radicals, you see this little funny shape here, this square root of 320. That's asking us what number times itself is equal to 320. Well, there really isn't an integer that when you multiply it by itself that equals 320. So what we're going to do is we're going to simplify this radical. We're going to pull out perfect squares. That's one way of thinking about it. But the way I like to do it is I like to break down the number by using a factorization tree. So what I would do is I'd ask myself, what two numbers multiply to 320? Well, if it ends in a 0, you can always divide it by 10. So this is going to be 10 times 32. The other technique you can use is if it ends in an even number like 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, you can always divide it by 2, like cutting it in half. Then what you want to do is you want to keep going, breaking down these numbers until you just get prime numbers. So a prime number is a number that's only divisible by 1 and itself. So for example, 10 is 2 times 5, and I would stop here because 2 is only divisible by 2 or 1. 5 is only divisible by 5 or 1. But 32, I can break this down a little bit further. That's 8 times 4. 8 is 4 times 2. 4 is 2 times 2. And then this 4 we can break down to 2 times 2. So what we're looking at is we're looking at these numbers at the very ends of the branches here. Okay, if you were to multiply all these numbers at the ends of the branches together, you would get back this 320. But when you're taking the square root, you're looking for two of the same number. So either two 2's or two 3's or two 5's, two of the same numbers. So for example, here I can see I've got a pair of 2's. Here I have a pair of 2's. And here I have a pair of 2's. Now they don't have to be next to each other. They just have to be at the ends of the branches. Whatever's left over, like in this case is a 5, that doesn't have a pair. That's going to stay underneath the square root. So what I mean by this is when you look at 2 times 2, that's 4. The square root of 4 is 2. Same thing here. This is 4. The square root of 4 is 2. So for each group, you're going to end up with one of that group, meaning the square root of 4 is just going to be 2. This is going to be 2. This is going to be 2. So if I multiply those together, 2 times 2 times 2, that's 8. That's going to come out in front of the square root. And then whatever's left over, like say if there was a 5 and a 3 left over, I would multiply those together and that would be square root of 15. In this case, there's only a 5 left over, so it's just going to be 5 left underneath the square root. Now, sometimes students will say, well, Mario, how do I know I got the right answer? Well, you can take this number in front, and if you square it, meaning you multiply it by itself, 8 times 8 is 64, then times 5, you get back the 320. So that's one way to check your work. So let's take a look at another example and see if we can make this a little bit clearer for you. So in number 2 now, we're trying to take the square root of 768, meaning what number times itself is 768. Now there isn't a integer times itself at 768, so what we're going to do is we're going to try to simplify it a little bit further, pulling out those perfect squares like I showed you over here. Now this is quite a large number. Now oftentimes teachers will say, you know, go ahead and see if like 4 goes in there because 4 is a perfect square, or see if 9 goes in there, or 16 or 25. And you can do that, but because this number is so large, you know, that can sometimes be very difficult to do without using a calculator. So let's use the method I'm showing you here, and I can see that this is an even number, which means that I can divide it by 2. So I'm going to break this down, divide it by 2, and this is quite a large number. So let me see, how many times does 2 go into 768? Let's see, 3. 2 goes into 16 8 times. 2 goes into 8 4 times. Okay, so this is 384. 384, that ends in an even number, so I can divide that by 2. That's going to be 192. This ends in an even number, so that means I can divide that by 2. That's 2 times 96. Again, if it always ends in an even number, you can always cut it in half. And so you can see that's what I'm doing right here. I keep dividing by 2 if it's even. Okay, that's a nice way to do it. Now here I can see, okay, 6 is like 2 times 3. So now I've got it all the way down to the prime numbers, but I'm looking for a pair, like two of the same number, because that represents a perfect square. So in this case, this represents 4. The square root of 4 is 2. This is 4. The square root of 4 is 2. 4 again, square root of 4 is 2. Okay, and we're left with this 3. I like to underline the numbers that are left over. Now, a mistake that students sometimes make is they might end up using like this number right here or this number right here, but you only want to use the numbers at the ends of the branches. If it helps, you could cross out, these numbers once you've broken them down. Like this 192 is 96 and 2. We're done with the 192. So that's another technique you can use if you want to not be distracted by some of those previous numbers. We just want the ones at the ends. Again, we look at, okay, this represents the square root of 4, which is 2. Square root of 4, which is 2, square root of 4 is 2, square root of 4, which is 2. I always tell students for each group, you just end up with one of that number, okay? That's just one way to think about it. So you get 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, with this 3 left over. Now again, say if there was a 3 left over, a 5 left over, and a 7 left over. You would multiply the 3, the 5, and the 7 together, and that's what would stay underneath the square root. Now, just to compare and contrast this with how your teacher may have explained it to you, your teacher might have said, well, 256 times 3 is 768. And we know that the square root of 256 is a perfect square. It's 16, and you have the square root of 3 left over. But when these numbers get really large, it's going to be kind of difficult to recognize that this is the largest perfect square that divides in evenly into 768. And so, there's no reason to have to do that. Just break down the number into its prime factorization tree and look for those pairs. So let me erase the whiteboard. Let's do some more examples. You might want to pause the video and try some of these on your own, but of course we'll go through them together. So what do you do when you have a number that's in front of the square root? That's what we're going to talk about in this problem and this next problem. Let's take a look at the square root of 108. So what number times itself is 108? Well, 10 times 10 is 100. 11 times 11 is 121. But 108 is somewhere in between 100 and 121. So it's somewhere between 10 and 11. It's not a perfect square. Let's see if we can pull out perfect squares by using that prime factorization technique. So I see it's even, which means I can cut this number in half. So that's 54 times 2. 54 is even. That's 2 times 27. 27 is 3 times 9. And 9 is 3 times 3. Now again, I'll just cross out these numbers we don't need. We're just using the ones at the very end. And we're looking for two of the same number, so a pair. So here's a pair, here's a pair, here's a 3 left over. So just like we did in the previous example, this is going to be 2 times 3, which is 6. That's going to come in front of the square root, but there's a 4 there. And notice the 4 is right next to the square root of 108, which means it's multiplied by that square root of 108. So when I pull out the 2 times 3, which is 6, it's going to get multiplied by the 4, which gives us 24. And we have this square root of 3 left over. So that's how you would handle this number in front. Just pretend like it's not there for a moment, but whatever you pull out in front, those perfect squares, it's going to get multiplied by that number in front. So try number 4 if you want on your own, -3 times the square root of 500. If I was doing this one, I would notice that this is really like 5 times 100. 100 is 10 times 10. Now, some students will say, Mario, can't I just stop right here? I can see I've got a pair of 10s. And you can definitely do that. But oftentimes students just keep going until they get down to the prime numbers. So either way is okay. And now we're looking for a pair of the same number. So we've got a pair of 5s here at the end. We've got a pair of 2s here at the end. And we have this 5 left over. So this is going to be 5 times 2, which is 10. That 10 comes out in front, times the -3 is going to be -30. With this 5 left over, so -30 square root of 5. So let me erase the whiteboard. Let's do a few more examples together. You see this 3 up here? This represents that this is a cube root. When you don't see a number up here, it's understood to be a 2, which represents that it's a square root. So with the cube root, we're saying what number times itself, like 3 of them together, gives you back this 192. Well, 192 is not a perfect cube. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to pull out perfect cubes. And an easy way to do that, again, is to go back to our prime factorization tree. I see that this is even, so I'm going to divide by 2. That's going to be 96. 96 is even, so I'm going to divide that by 2. And I just keep going. And we're just going to use these numbers at the very end. The only difference with cube roots is now we're looking for 3 of the same number. So for example, 2 times 2 times 2, that's 8. And I know the cube root of 8 is 2. 2, 2, 2. We've got 3 more 2's here. So that's a group of 3. So that's going to be 2. So we say 2 times 2 is 4. That's going to come out in front of the cube root. And we're left with this 3 here. That's going to stay underneath the cube root. And you've simplified it. So another way to look at this, and this may be the way that your teacher showed you, is you could break this down and say this is the cube root of 64 times the cube root of 3, and the cube root of 64 is 4, and the cube root of 3 is not a perfect, cube root, so that stays as it is. The only trick here, though, or the only challenge, I should say, is that it's hard to sometimes recognize that 64 goes into 192. That's the largest perfect cube root that you can pull out. And so that's where this factor tree really comes in handy. If this was a 4, we would look for 4 of the same number. If it was a 5, we'd look for 5 of the same number. So we're looking for those groups that we can pull out, because then we can simplify that part of the radical. So looking at another example here, number 6, we've got 4 times the cube root of 400. How would you do that one? Well, I would do the same technique. I would do the factorization tree. I can see that this is 4 times 100. 4 I know is 2 times 2. 100 I know is 10 times 10. And 10 is 2 times 5, 2 times 5. Using just the numbers at the ends of the branches here, I'm looking for groups of 3 since it's a cube root. So there's 3 2's. And we don't have any other groups of 3 of the same number, so that's going to be what's left underneath that radical. This represents 2 cubed. The cube root of 2 cubed, those are inverses of each other. They undo each other. They cancel one another out. So you're just left with 2. That 2 that comes out is going to get multiplied by this 4. See how these are next to each other? That means that they're multiplied together. So this is going to be 8. And then we're left with the cube root of 5 times 5 is 25 times 2 is 50. And you've simplified it. Let's take a look at one more example. If you're enjoying this video, at the very end, I'm going to have a link to a complete guide about radicals so you can learn more about how to rationalize radicals or do operations with radicals. So I'll point to that video so you can learn a little bit further. And if you like the way that I explain things and you've been following my videos sometime, I now have the channel membership activated on my Mario's Math Tutoring YouTube channel, where you can join as a member. And if you join at the additional videos level, you can have access to all my math courses, my Algebra 1, my Algebra 2, my geometry, my pre-calculus, as well as midterm and final exam reviews. I've got some test reviews on there, some other videos as well. So check out that additional videos level and join as a channel member, and I'll see you over in that membership section. But let's go ahead and do one more example here. Notice we have a negative, okay, so the cube root of negative 324. You can take the odd root of a negative number, but you can't take the even root of a negative number. Meaning, like if I was trying to take the square root of negative 16, what number times itself is negative 16? Well, 4 times 4 is positive 16. Negative 4 times negative 4 is also positive 16. So that's when you start to get into imaginary numbers. But for this video, you can take the cube root of a negative or the 5th root of a negative. You just can't take the square root of a negative or the 4th root of a negative. So how do we handle this negative? Well, we can think of this as the cube root of negative 1 times the cube root of 324. And what number times itself 3 times is negative 1? That would be negative 1. So that means that this is going to be a negative cube root of 324. This is a large number. Let's see if we can break it down using our factor tree. So we have 2 times 162, 2 times 81, 3 times 27, 3 times 9, 3 times 3. Because we're taking the cube root, we're looking for 3 of the same number to find that perfect cube. So here's 3 3's, and we have a 3, a 2, and a 2 left over. So that means this is going to be 3. Okay, because the cube root of 27 is 3. That comes out in front of the radical, so that's going to be a negative 3, because I'm multiplying by this negative 1 here. And then what are we left with? We're left with 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 is 12. Now, why didn't I group these together? There's only 2 of them. We're looking for groups of 3. And so that's going to be your final result. So Great job if you're able to follow all these examples. Like I said, I'm going to put a video right over there. It's my complete guide to working with radicals. So I go into more than just what we did here. And so go ahead and follow me over to that video if you want to get some more practice. I'll see you over there.